What's good, everybody? Before we get started with the episode, go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, go ahead and give me 5 stars. All right, let's get to the show. Yo, welcome back to the Take Your Pick podcast. I'm your host, Nick, and today I got with me my good friend once again, Joe. He is back with me here. We're here to talk some hoops today. We got the James Harden trade, all that nonsense that's going on. We also want to talk about this in-season tournament that the NBA has got going on, and as well as all of these rookies, what they've been going through. Some players have looked great. Some players have looked not so great so far. It's early in the season, though. It's their first year. I'll cut them some slack. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, James Harden, once again, running away from a team, being a crybaby about it. That's one thing I got to give him props for. We didn't get Fat Suit Harden. We didn't get it. Okay?
Well, I'm not sure it's we didn't get it so much more he just didn't show up. There is that story that he got denied at the tarmac. So there was a lot going on. But he did it again. That man has managed to force his way off of another team, and for that you got to commend him.
Clap it up for him. Dame could learn a thing or two from him because he was able to get to exactly where he wanted to go. Dame couldn't come to where he really wanted to. All right. And yes, he's balling out in Milwaukee, whatever. He really wanted to be down in South Beach, and I don't blame him. But James Harden forced his way to the Clippers. And in my opinion, this is the Clippers saying that they're going to go all in on this season. I don't think they're thinking about next season or anywhere down the line in the future because, one, they gave up all these picks. All right. Two, their core four are all on 1-year deal right now. All right. He's on his last year. Westbrook's got 1 year. PG and Kawhi, all on 1-year deals right now. So they're not even concerned about any of them signing back. They're going all in on this year. I don't think it's going to work, personally. I really don't. I don't see how the chemistry is going to be there, especially because is one of them coming off the bench between Russ and Harden? Are they going to start them? How is this going to work? How is Ty Lue going to make this rotation work? I don't see it work.
So, just to dive in on a little like what Harden brings, right? Harden made the statement about he's not a system player, he is the system, which, by the way, is one of the hardest quotes an NBA player has dropped in a minute. That was a good one, right? And I went in through some of the numbers, and realistically, he's not lying, right? One thing the Clippers lacked last year, which they made up for adding Russ later on in the season, was a true playmaker, a true assist guy, if you will. Paul George was actually one of their best players when it came to assisting, as far as the assist stat goes, as far as playmaking goes. When you look at their numbers on who assisted the most scores, Paul George was up there a lot of the time. When Russ came in for that back half of the season, Russ was in there, and Russ was only there for a little bit, but he was still in that top three for them. Currently, right now, it's the same situation. PG, Russ, and Kawhi, they have high usage. The ball's always in their hands. Their assist numbers are up, and their assist totals for the whole team are up. James Harden accounted for 3% of all of the 76ers assists, which, if you guys don't know, that's actually a pretty good number. 3% of all their total assists for the season last season, that's pretty big. 618 of those assists went to Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Maxey. So it was with the starters. He's out there. He was setting the table. I go back to James Harden is not a system player. He is the system. He does his best work when the ball is in his hands. And that shows, and that's going to be great for the Clippers because that's exactly what the Clippers need. I think Paul George is amazing as a facilitator, I think Paul George is even better as a scorer. Same goes for Kawhi. Russ, great facilitator, great scorer. So I think they are going all in here.
Know about Russ being a great scorer though. Great
Uh, I think in certain situations he's a lot better than what you would expect from other role players currently right now in the NBA. I'll
no.
put it that way. But PG is a prime example of somebody who is leading the way in one category out of necessity. He shouldn't have to be doing that, but because of the roster construction, he is.
Thing too about PG this year, and I know he said it on his podcast, is that he was going to be in bully mode this year. And most people laugh because the playoff P thing, and then that hasn't really become a thing.
He shows up as where's Waldo?
He's just asking for the memes. He's just
really is.
When they get bounced in the first round, that's what's going to be all over the internet until the finals are over. But regardless, he's been in bully mode. He's been playing great basketball. And yeah, I can understand James Harden getting there and finding ways to get him open. But even with that being the case, I mean, Paul George, for the majority of his career, has always been an ISO kind of player. So even if you get him the ball, I mean, he's still going to be an isolation guy. Same thing with Kawhi. It's not like they're Klay Thompson or Steph coming off screens and whatnot, and pick and pop kind of players. They are isolation players, all three.
Right. So, but hang on, that's the point, right? Well, at this point in their careers, that ISO isn't going to work as well as it was earlier in their careers. That's why I think James Harden being there is perfect, right? Because James Harden is going to be able to set these guys up to where they don't have to rely too much on that ISO ball. They don't have to rely on that high usage, especially when these guys take breaks for injuries or load management every 5 to 6 games. And part of it is look at the usage. Look how much these guys are playing. Look what they had to do out there because of the roster construction. Outside of Terrence Mann, you really can't, and Powell now, but you really can't tell me nobody else on that roster on their bench. They're not a deep team, so James Harden will make a difference.
Quality bench players too. I mean, they got rid of Batum and Covington. I mean, they weren't getting any real minutes, but those guys can still contribute. So, Terrence Mann, yeah, but outside of him, and you said Powell, yeah, I can't name anybody else on that bench, and not because
not to be disrespectful, I literally just cannot.
They're just not. They're not that guy exactly, right? So, hold on. Let's take that back. Don't they got Bones? Bones Highland on the squad.
You saw what the Nuggets GM said. It was supposed to be off the record, but it was on the record. He had to trade him. You can't have two players that are net negatives. It's just not happening.
Yeah, so fair enough. But Bones Highland can play, and he looks good with the Clippers. It just didn't pan out with the Nuggets, though. I mean, he looks as good as you need him.
He looks.
Ryan Russ, then they're not expecting a lot of you, but he does what he needs to do to be a contributing player on this team.
Fair enough. Do you think Harden makes this team better?
I don't think he makes them worse, but I think they put themselves in a bad position going forward because of Harden.
What position?
Well, like I said, I think they're going all in on this year and not really thinking about what happens after this year, because you really have to hope that all those guys, for one, want to sign back, and two, you have the money to sign those guys back, and then really not worry about what your bench is going to look like. So I honestly think they somewhat kind of screwed themselves to go after an aging James Harden. Can he still play? Yes. But for some reason, people still keep thinking you're getting James Harden of old. You're not getting that 30, 40-point guy anymore.
So,
you could say you probably don't need him to be, right? But also, too, let's just talk about his playoff resume. If you're looking for this guy to be there when the playoffs come, you really screwed yourself.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go back to the piece that you said they're screwing themselves over. I think this is a move out of necessity, right? So if everybody's on 1-year deals and you don't really have a realistic future, then they have no draft picks. They absolutely should start looking into, hey, let's make one last push. This is it. If we don't re-sign these guys, we don't re-sign these guys. If we don't have the money to re-sign all of them, we don't re-sign all of them. But you have to make moves like this when you don't have any other option. The combination of Russ, Kawhi, and PG, it sounds good, but they don't have a bench, right? So we already know the success probably wouldn't have been there. Adding Harden, is it going to be more successful? Yes. Is their shot at a title higher now? More than likely, we can say it is. So it's one of those things where they, out of necessity, I'm sure the owner was all in on this because they have to. They don't. There's no other option to make them better realistically, without having to give up PG, Kawhi, or Russ in some way, shape, or form. Um, it's interesting you talked about the contract because one piece of this whole scenario where this all started was the Philadelphia 76ers did not want to give James Harden a 4-year max contract. James Harden at the start of the season is 34 years old. That 4 years would have carried him into 38. We willing? Is anybody willing to pay James Harden what James Harden thinks he's worth?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If any GM or whoever decides that you're going to give James Harden a 4-year max contract, you deserve to be fired on the spot. On the spot. He's not that guy anymore.
No.
He's not.
Heavy usage.
I get why he would call Daryl Morey a liar, right? Because if Daryl Morey promised him that he was going to get paid, and then Daryl Morey had a change of heart, looked in the mirror and said, yo, can't pay this guy max dollars 4 years, and decides that he's not going to do that. I understand that.
So right now, the word and I guess the rumor mill of it all is James Morey was in. He was in on giving him a contract. He was in on giving him the money. At some point, 76ers ownership or 76ers like leadership besides James Morey or Daryl Morey was like, hey, this 4-year max, that seems like a lot for a player like James Harden, especially with the new CBA and the way contracts are working out and Embiid's contract coming up. You would essentially handcuff yourself to a player who is older, whose talents are going down, for lack of a better word. So it seemed like a scenario where it just was not going to be good, especially if Embiid decides he wants out after this contract is given to James Harden. You're essentially handcuffed now. So it's just it wasn't a good deal for the 76ers. I think Daryl Morey, if he promised him a contract, is he still a liar? Yeah, but he did ultimately what was better for the 76ers. I also think the 76ers should trade Embiid now. I don't think you hold on to him personally.
What?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Especially when you have a guy like Tyrese Maxey on your squad. I'm telling you, you are one piece closer to getting to where you want to be.
What is that piece?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I mean, maybe a guy like Zach LaVine. I know that's a guy that's on their radar. OG Anunoby. I know he's a guy that's also on their radar.
Donovan Mitchell's another name that was mentioned. Donovan Mitchell, I think, is on his last year of his contract. You trade for him now, and he goes to New York.
Right. I don't think he wants to be in Philly. He wants to be in New York. So that anyway. I mean, I think they are another 24-point scorer away from being able to really compete in the East. Because right now the East is only controlled by like 2 teams.
No, but hang on. Listen to what you just said. A 24-point scorer. Those don't grow on trees. Like you don't.
That's why I said Zach LaVine. That's the first guy that comes to mind. That's the guy that's on their radar. They're not going to get Donovan Mitchell. If they do, like you said, it's just for the 1 year.
Right. I personally like Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine is a very talented basketball player. But you have in the playoffs, as we know, right, as everybody knows, there's 2 sides of the basketball, right? There's the offensive and defensive. In the regular season, you can get away with not being a better defensive team. The playoffs come around, no, that goes away. You have to lock in defensively. Zach LaVine, I don't think gives you that defensively. So it's hard to say that, hey, maybe he's that guy. But I will say this, you sell Embiid now, you're getting a king's ransom for him. Instead of waiting till he decides to say, I'm tired of losing, I don't want to be here.
The thing is, though, with Embiid, right, is he is like the man in Philly. That'd be like, back in the day, Allen Iverson requesting that trade. You don't trade a player like that unless they come to you and say, "Look, I don't want to be here anymore." That is the kind of player you want to keep on your roster for as long as you can. And besides, the only other place that I could really see him going is also New York. He's the only other player I could see going there. They could really use him. They'd probably trade the kitchen sink to get Joel Embiid.
The Minnesota Timberwolves gave up how many first rounders for Rudy Gobert?
Which was still asinine.
Right. So imagine what Embiid gets you.
I
A
got
healthy
you.
Embiid.
I got you.
I just personally, as a fan of a team that has rebuilt for so long and has been constantly rebuilding, if it's the same thing, we can't get past the second round. We're just not getting it done. At some point, as an organization, you have to tell yourself, why are we handcuffed to this? What are we doing here? We can move on. It's a business. It's okay to move on. I just don't think that currently the roster construction and just the way the East looks, that they have a chance to be that team this year, even if they land Donovan Mitchell, even if they land Zach LaVine. It's just OG Anunoby, like, it just doesn't. Those moves do not put the 76ers at the top.
But you just said, right, that there's two sides of the basketball.
Yeah.
OG Anunoby is a guy who plays both sides of the basketball.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think he moves the needle for them. Am I saying that he makes them a championship team? No. But I also do, over the years, have to blame the front office for the moves that they decided to make, right? Not keeping Jimmy Butler, paying Tobias Harris before paying Jimmy Butler, mishandling Ben Simmons. Okay, because yes, did he kind of flake out against Atlanta? He absolutely did. Did you guys treat him well at all after that? No, you didn't. And now he's gone, and he's a guy who's looking good now with the Nets. He's coming back to his former self, in a sense. He's not gonna give you 25 points, but he's playing lockdown defense. He's getting boards. He's getting assists. All the things that they need right now. So, and also one more thing too before we move on with Philly. Philly was a Kawhi Leonard 15-time bounce around the rim shot away from moving on. You can't take that away from them, man. That's part of the process.
No, yes, you absolutely can. Listen, when you watch teams lose close games, right? We always seem to be like, oh, that last possession, right? But no, there was a whole other 47 minutes of basketball involved. There's a lot that goes into it. So I absolutely hate, like, if we lose on a buzzer beater, hey, that's fine. We lost on that buzzer beater. But that's not the sole reason why. Kawhi's bounce around shot was not the sole reason why. They shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. Why are we here? Why are we depending on him to miss that fadeaway? That being said, that was a cold shot. Hey,
that was cold.
That was cold.
That was cold. Wait. You know what? Shout out to
let me ask you something real quick for a take your pick moment. What's a better, and take out the scenarios, take out the situations. What's a better buzzer beater? That Kawhi one or that one Steph Curry had in OKC?
The OKC one, because it was they came back to win that game. That's why it was better. No,
I don't know, because that Kawhi one, that's picturesque.
I'm taking the Steph Curry one. Yeah, just before the reason that I stated, because they were big that game. He brought him all the way back, went on a run basically by himself, and then hit that three to put them away. Yeah, I'll take that. That Kawhi one, yeah, it's game 7, but it's not like it was game 7 of the finals. Yeah, I don't know. Taking the Curry one though.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I think in the moment that that Raptors one, just the picture of that shot in the air just really cements it. It looks, when you get a chance, go back and look at that. It's an amazing shot. We wanted to talk about the in-season tournament.
Right? Yeah, and we'll get right to that after this break.
This episode is sponsored by absolutely no one, but what you can do is go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, go ahead and give me 5 stars. All right, back to the show.
All right, so this in-season tournament is upon us. We've had our first round of games last night. I'm not gonna lie, man. I didn't know what to expect when this whole thing kicked off. I don't even think a lot of people still quite understand how this whole thing works.
Oh, you guys haven't seen the Rich Jefferson commercial?
Oh yeah, that 2-minute video when you need a whole explanation and people still don't get it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. This is the wild card. Look out for the wild card. Like, all right,
Yeah,
get to the point, man.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, yo, what is this? And then I saw a quote from Bones Highland. Someone asked him about the tournament and he says, I have no idea what's going on. It's bad when the players don't know and when your audience doesn't know. Like, is this supposed to be a thing that's supposed to get us like more into the NBA season? I mean, me being a games anyway, but
so I'm a firm believer that I like the idea, right? The execution is where I feel like it's lacking just a little bit. It's the in-season tournament and it's happening. It starts 6 games into the season. That I'm kind of like, maybe we could have pushed it out just a little more. But it was meant to give more meaning to regular season games from what I remember reading about it, especially for the players. Now, part of the reward for winning the in-season tournament is there's a cash monetary reward for the players, right? To include the players that don't even play. Like if we're looking, it's across all 15-man roster. So it's pretty cool because you're looking at guys that, as far as NBA terms go, they aren't getting paid as much. So if their team does win the in-season tournament, these guys are making more than what their salary is essentially. So that part of it's cool. And I think it's meant more for it's meant for the fans, but it's meant to add a little more to these regular season games.
Yeah, I mean, a guy like the 12th man on the bench who's not getting any burn, and his team wins the whole thing. I think they get like 500,000 or something like that.
I thought it was a little more, but yeah, potentially.
Yeah, regardless, I mean, even if it is more, like you said, it's worth more than they get entire season. So that is big for them. Again, I agree with you. The execution on this has been poor. The rollout itself has just been bad. Have you seen you've seen the jerseys, right?
I've seen the jerseys. I've seen the courts.
The courts are even.
It's hard not to see those.
Oh my God! So what prime time last night? We had the Bucks, and who they play last night?
The Bucks played the Knicks.
They played the Knicks, and we got to see the Milwaukee court first. I don't understand the color scheme. I don't understand that weird streak in the middle of the court.
Yeah, so on the Bucks court, I think they actually had the most natural looking basketball court opposed to the other ones. What ruined it was the color of the streak. It just made zero sense. I don't even think that's the green that they have in their team colors. And then I like the trophy in the middle. I think that's cool, right? That reminds us of the NBA Finals. Yeah. Like it's interesting. Bring that back.
Yeah, I like that. The trophy that's for the free throw line, that's cool too. But the rest of it, horrible. I mean, I watched the Miami Heat game last night. It's nothing but red and black all on the court, and then this weird silver streak in the middle of the court. Horrendous.
I'm trying to figure out where the initial color schemes and initial ideas were drawn up. If they just didn't want to use team secondary colors and they wanted to like create new colors for the teams. But I feel like they could have picked something that was a little easier on the eyes. I'm interested to see what it looks like in person, honestly. Because that Pacers one, that blue, I'm like, where's this coming from?
I don't get it at all. I didn't like Denver's either. I saw their game yesterday. I didn't like theirs. I don't like their jersey. I don't understand. Like, I get the 5280 number on there.
They love it. They love that number.
But that is garbage, man. Let's just be real. Look, I love Miami. The Heat culture jersey, not feeling it. I did love the rollout though. Their intro for the Heat culture jerseys was cool, but the jersey itself, not so much. Not so much. But I did catch some things on the socials. Guys getting interviewed. Jokic got interviewed, and Ant got interviewed. And of course, the guys are asking him, "Oh man, who do you think is going to be able to move on? Who's going to win? Who's going to end up in Vegas and all that?" And of course, they're going to pick their own respective teams. But then they were asked who's going to be the dark horse or that wild card team that Richard Jefferson was talking about, right? And both players said Orlando Magic. And I wanted to bring that up and ask you, do you really think Orlando Magic is that dark horse team to worry about?
Actually, you're gonna laugh at this. I actually just think they can win their division or their grouping. The Celtics, everybody's gonna say, "Hey, well, Boston's got it." Boston lost 3 games to a team last year. Do you guys know what that team was? It was Orlando.
I know who it is.
Yeah, it was Orlando. 2 of those wins were pretty decisive. And it's one of those things where other NBA players are starting to catch on. Other people are starting to catch on to Orlando and what they have building, what they're creating. Orlando's biggest issue is health, and you know this because me and you have talked about this plenty of times. If Orlando can stay healthy, then there's a shot. Where do the majority of our injuries come in? At the guard position. Why did we draft 2 guards this year? Because last year we went the first 25 games without a legitimate guard. Suggs was hurt, Cole was hurt, Markelle was hurt, and it's extended periods. They have 15 point guards on their roster. Yes, because 5 games into the season, 2 of them are out.
Well, you want to know what's crazy about that is that you guys have done a complete shift because it used to be you guys were drafting nothing
forwards.
Yeah. Forwards and bigs. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And now it's all guards. I mean, you guys got is it Anthony Black? Is that his name?
He's actually starting today, Anthony Black. Well, starting Saturday, November 4th. Yes.
Okay, because I know when you guys drafted him, there were mixed feelings about this guy because he can't shoot. But
right. But hang on, I want to go back to my point about injury. The injuries being a thing. It is November 4th right now, right? They played the Utah Jazz. Markelle was out because of knee swelling. Halfway through the second quarter, Gary Harris gets hurt. Gary Harris is hurt because of a groin. Wendell Carter gets hurt, 30 seconds left in the game, breaks his thumb or breaks a finger, right? Guess who? We have a rookie starting now in our starting lineup because Gary Harris, who came in for Markelle, got out. And now we have Goga Batadze, who plenty of y'all probably don't even know who that is.
No idea.
Exactly. Starting, and he's not a bad player. I'm not meaning like that, but just I'm going to get off my soap here in a second. But he's also starting now. So the depth issue, right? And that's why I talk about Orlando and the Magic and all that stuff. They were second half of the season a solid team, and I've said this plenty of times. I really judge people's basketball knowledge on how they view the Orlando Magic, and how much they know about the injury bug that they have dealt with for the last 6 years.
Right.
So that depth is going to play a part. I think they are the wild cards for the in-season tournament. To answer your question, I think they actually have the potential to win those games. So we'll see. And we'll see how good the rookies look today because they're going to get burned. Gary Harris is out. Markelle is out. So we'll see how it looks.
As much as it pains me to say it, I actually agree with you. I would want to say my team, right? But we don't look good at all. We don't. Okay. And we've already had Jimmy and Bam be out for multiple games, and we're only 6 games into the season. We were 1-4 until we won last night. Now we're 2-4. But that one team that we beat was the Detroit Pistons, and we beat them by 1 point. We beat them by 1 point.
Hey, I get
team is looking good this year. I think we were riding high off the fact that we made it to the finals last year. We weren't supposed to be in the playoffs, and now we come into this season looking like hot garbage. The only person that looked good is Tyler Herro, and that's because he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. Actually, that we don't need Dame, and we still do.
Yeah. So a big piece of this, people really don't realize how long and deep of a run a finals run is, how many extra games that is, especially if you've got series that go 7 games, and how much time there is in between the finals ending and training camp. It's not a big window. It's not a lot, right? The finals are ending midway, early June, and then training camp and all that starts September, early September. So they don't really get too much time. Tyler Herro got an extended break because he was out during the playoff run, he was out during the finals. So he's coming in rested. These guys these guys didn't get a break, man. They've been media tours. They've been killing it. They've been all over the world. So especially with FIBA basketball being around, look at the guys who played for the Team USA. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you guys look rusty, but it's just tired. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and what makes it even worse is that I got Lakers fans coming out talking out the side of their neck about Gabe Vincent. I'm look, Gabe Vincent, like he had a good run in the playoffs, but let's be real, he finessed y'all into giving him a bag to average like 4 points for the Lakers right now.
Hey, fun fact, you know who didn't finesse and is actually looking really good? And I eat my words on this. Max Strauss with Cleveland. He's filling his role pretty nicely out there.
Yeah, because all he has to do is be a catch and shoot guy like he was in Miami. But even then, he's doing a little bit more than that. He's had like 2 to 3 solid games, but he is coming back down to earth. All right.
Who?
He is back down. Max Strus. He is coming down to earth with Cleveland. Okay. He's gonna down to being like a 16-point score.
I think part of part of the reason you're saying that is because you miss him. And I understand.
I do miss him. Now we have is Duncan Robinson, and he can't do half the things that Strus could do. But also for Max Strus, too, the reason why he's able to put up the numbers he's putting up right now is, correct me if I'm wrong, but Darius Garland has been out of rotation for a little while with dealing with injury. So he's able to get those minutes right now and get those shots up. When Darius Garland comes back,
hey,
numbers are going back down, man.
You got it. But this is the thing, right? Like NBA defense, obviously, it's a world above anything we've ever played. But people don't realize you got to hit those shots also.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So when we talk about players like, oh, well, he's only doing that because so and so's injured, he's getting more minutes. He's taking advantage of those minutes. We know plenty of players that get those minutes and don't take advantage of those minutes. So, hey, good for him.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, back to the tournament though. I guess this could be a take your pick question here. Who is your pick to win it all in Vegas?
You asking me, or are you asking the people?
Yeah, I'm asking you right now, and asking the people. We'll have
so outside of the Magic, right? Obviously, as a fan, right? But say I wasn't a Magic fan, you would have to look at a team in like Minnesota, right? A team that's going to be competitive, hungry. Because while the fans are like, hey, maybe the players have more value in these games, that doesn't mean Jason Tatum's not going to act like this still ain't a regular season game. Not saying that Jason Tatum doesn't actively try to win every game, but if we want to look at competitive players, I think one of the most competitive players we've seen recently is Anthony Edwards, and I think he can lead that Timberwolves team to that first in-season tournament championship.
Right.
So that's my pick.
If I had to pick, because you said Jason Tatum, I honestly think Boston could do it. I think mainly because of Jason Tatum this year. I think if he finds a way for his team to win this in-season tournament, I think that solidifies him as like a legit MVP candidate this year, possibly the favorite. I think he really wants to get it this year. He's actually my pick to get MVP this year. But if the Boston Celtics don't get it, my only other squad to roll with is Denver. Denver is the most complete team in the NBA.
Yeah.
They were really good. Really good.
We got to see, though. We have to see.
By Minnesota. They got blown out by Minnesota the other night, but it is what it is, right? I still think that Denver is the best team in the NBA. The best. Now, one more thing before we go into our next topic is your boy Tyrese Halliburton. He mentioned something interesting about this in-season tournament. He mentioned that he believes that the teams that win, or the team that does win, should get an automatic bid into the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the NBA wants to add more value to these games, I also think it kind of cheapens the playoffs. I'm also not a fan of like the play-in scenarios too, right? Because when the play-in idea came around, which was during the bubble, there was a buffer. If the 8th seed won a certain amount of games over the 9th seed, they didn't have to play that game because, hey, they won those games in the regular season, right?
Right.
Essentially what Halliburton is saying is, hey, they get an automatic playoff bid. Injuries happen. People lose streaks of games. You would give a team an automatic playoff bid, they're just going to stop playing regular season games.
Competing.
Yeah, exactly. It defeats the purpose of the tournament and all that stuff. So I don't think I like the idea, and I also don't think it would be fair. Just like I don't think the play-in is fair, right? Because the eighth seed, you catch them on a bad day and they lose a game to the winner of the 9th and 10th, and they had like 8 more wins than them. Oh yeah, I'd be pretty upset if I was a fan. Like, dude, this is how this is going down. The whole season gone to waste because of a play-in idea. So I don't think so. What I do think, my idea, and I already emailed Adam Silver. I was reading it, and I think giving that team that wins an opportunity to add a player from their team as an all-star during the all-star games. I think besides the rewards they have now, I think that'd be a good way to, especially if it's a smaller market team. We're talking about the youth not watching NBA anymore. They don't have access to games. Getting another all-star from a small market team that wins, or any team that wins, would be a good way to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. I mean, but then that's when you're gonna have like guys who would never be an all-star start getting these votes. I mean, like think of who was it? Who was somebody that I could name that would never be an all-star?
Somebody from the 76ers I was a 76ers fan on Twitter that replied to me and said, "Hey, I would push for Frank Korkmaz to get an all-star nod." You laughing? I think that's cool, man. I'm like, hey, that's what's up. Like,
you know what, it is cool, right? Because again, these guys, they work their whole lives, get to the NBA, they have dreams of being an all-star, just to end up being a role player, and then boom, you become an all-star because of this.
hey,
this certain.
Hey, but hang on,
take that from you, right?
Right. But this is my thing. I'm like, okay, well, you participated in this tournament. You're one of the reasons why we won this tournament. How can I reward you besides money? Let's go put you at the All-Star game. Let's put you out there, the world's biggest stage for basketball.
You know who I'm putting out there? I'm putting PJ Tucker out there. I want to see which kicks or rotation of kicks he's bringing to the All-Star game. That's the only reason why I'm putting him in there. You're not going to score. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to play any real defense. It's the All-Star game. I want to see what shoes he's bringing to the All-Star game. That's the only reason why he's getting my vote.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, he brings them anyway when he's on the sideline. Well, let's see him on the court. All right. What do you – so, overall, I think it's a good idea. It's just one of those, hey, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So for our final segment of the day, let's go ahead and get into talking about these rookies, man. And I would be remiss if I didn't go ahead and kick it off by talking about Wemby. Now, when he got drafted number 1, it was all expected, right? When we saw him in summer league, I had my doubts about the guy. Like, let's just be real. He didn't look great. He had flashes of, being pretty good, but I was already like, he might be a guy that can play really good defense in the NBA. Give us some time, but he's not going to be this superstar. Boy, was I wrong. This man is fantastic. Oh my gosh. He's coming in to Phoenix. Mind you, for some reason, they're not making him the number 1 option. That's been weird. His teammates have been looking him off. They ain't giving him the rock like that. And he's still coming into Phoenix and putting 38 on their head.
It's pop, right? I mean, he's a rookie. It's a learning curve in the NBA. He's learning a lot faster than most rookies do, obviously. Part of it is his physical attributes that he's – and by the way, it's not just his height, his length. Like, it's the skill. It's the technique. Right. It's the finesse around the basket. Like, the dude has – he's not Bol Bol. Everybody keeps talking about Bol Bol. Bol Bol does not have the skill or the technique that this man has. It is a completely different ball game, a completely different, like, tier, 2 miles away from each other. That being said, I like that, maybe it's a pop thing. Maybe it's just the way the system is running. The Spurs run very unselfish basketball. They always have. They always will. So I like that he's getting looked off, but that he's not the number 1 option currently right now. If he's able to do what he's doing right now as what we're perceiving not the number 1 option, then imagine when he gets the keys. Like, it's going to be crazy.
The things he's doing right now is he's 7'4". Like, you're not supposed to be able to do the things that he's doing at 7'4". I mean, he's got this crazy like triple threat move that he has, where he rocks it back and forth, goes to the left, step back, 3-point jumpers. Who's doing that?
It's insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
Then he's dunking on people. You're not really gonna block his shot. You know what I can't wait to see though? I can't wait to see Ja Morant come back. I want to see Ja Morant try to dunk on him. That'd be a movie.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he attempts it. Maybe if he hits it, I'd be amazed.
Man. Yeah. I'm taking back what I said.
Overall, I talked about it with some friends at work last time, which is his length at some point, his defensive instinct and IQ is essentially later on in his career going to ensure that he locks down a half of a basketball court.
Right.
Because if you're on the right side of the court, if you're on the right corner, right, and Wemby's anywhere near you, the threat of him blocking your shot is there. So it is impressive. It is amazing that he can do that. And it'll be the first time we've seen an NBA player that I can say, I'm like, hey, no, legitimately, the right side of the court is locked down. You can't even look that way at this point.
Guys, here's the thing. This is why he's possibly somebody who can be defensive player of the year this year, next year, because like you just said, he can shut down an entire side of the court. Guys are afraid to shoot. That should be a stat. How many times guys have to pump fake and try to pass it away because he's closing out on you?
Yeah.
Inside the paint. Well, it's insane what he can do. But all that aside, his stats are amazing too. I mean, he's leading all rookies in points per game, steals per game, field goals made, and free throws made. I mean, this dude is a juggernaut. He is fantastic. Anytime the Spurs are on, if the Heat are not on, I'm catching their games this year. I am catching every Spurs game that I can.
Yeah.
Those very good.
So that's the rookie you wanted to talk about, and mine that I wanted to talk about. I think you probably thought about as well. Asor Thompson. I'm probably butchering his name. What he's doing in Detroit right now, and this is only playing how many minutes? 28 minutes per game, playing behind a couple other guards and Killian Hayes for some reason, and Jaden Ivey. Yeah, I know. One of those guys should start. The other one is Killian Hayes.
The other one should be learning Mandarin.
For real. That being said, Asor right now, and this is interesting, right? So he is averaging, I think, 9 rebounds per game and like 11 points per game. I don't know if we have ever had a rookie guard be this close to averaging a double-double. And let's see if he can continue it for the rest of the season. But defensively, he's fantastic. His playmaking is great. His offense, his jump shot, it needs some work. But we knew that. We knew that coming into the draft. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops as a player, leading through his career. That's somebody that I actually really like. I think him and his brother. But I think I like him more than his brother, and it's more. I feel like he's more active. That being said, I kind of feel bad for the other guys, right? Because some of these guys are having pretty good seasons, right? Some of these guys will end up having pretty good seasons, being contributors on playoff teams. But it won't matter. It just won't.
The thing is, though, right? Think about it, right? Like, how many rookies really come in, can contribute very well, but are also on playoff teams? The reason why you got taken so high is because the team you're on.
It's not. Yeah, but but that's my point, though, right? So, like, I think the Orlando Magic are a playoff team. I think Black and Jet Howard can contribute, right? I think they can give Jet Howard, especially being that we need shooting really bad. But my point is, a lot of these guys, and Chet Holmgren's another fantastic rookie. Not really. He's in there, but he looks fantastic. Also, Brandon Miller looks amazing. But these guys can look as good as they want, but it won't matter when there's a 7'4" French star in San Antonio who is essentially doing whatever he wants on a basketball court, and he's successful. So
very successful.
Yeah, I feel for those guys because some of these guys are legit, man. Some of these guys are top guy or going to be top guys at some point in this league. But
they're not Wemby.
It's hard for me to be like, do I want to watch Detroit or do I want to watch San Antonio? Like, it's very hard to pick
I'm not watching them. But to go back to the Thompson twins, right? Because I agree with you. Asar Thompson, he's good. He's putting up 11 and 9, 4 assists. You're right. His three ball is atrocious. He's shooting 6% from three. That's you can't do that in the
Only
NBA.
up from here. Only up from here, man. Only up.
His brother, not much better. He's averaging 6 points, 2 boards, 4 assists.
And he doesn't. So the thing with his brother too is that like, so they got Brooks, Van Vliet.
He got a lot of guards. He's behind a lot of guards. He's playing behind Van Vliet and Green.
Well, that's the thing. He's playing behind established vets for the most part. If you think about it, Asur is not. Asur is playing behind Killian Hayes for some reason. I don't know what Monty has going on, but it needs to change.
Yeah. I don't know why he loves him so much. He's been bad ever since he got drafted, man. I am a firm Killian Hayes hater, and I don't like to hate on players for real, but this dude is bad, and I don't understand why he's still getting minutes. All right, so 2 more players though that I want to talk about before we get on out of here. What's up with Scoot, man? What's up with Scoot Henderson?
You know, it's the NBA is a different game, different speed. Guards always take a little more time to adjust. It's what happens. Some players take longer than others. I think Scoot will be fine. I think his 3-point ball is also trash, but he's actively working on it. One thing that's not bad is his playmaking. That's still there. Like we know that's one of the reasons why he was talked about so much. And it's not just so much the assist neither, because that's a 2-person game. The other person has to make the shot. But watching him play, he's making the right passes. He's making the right reads. He's another one that, hey, it's only up from here. We'll be all right.
I think he'll end up being better. I mean, again, like you said, coming from the G League or D League, whatever, to the NBA, right? It's a different game. You're going against grown men. These are real professionals, right? But man, look, 8, 2, and 4, 9% from three, 4 turnovers. He's averaging 4 turnovers a game. You can't have that. You can't have that.
It'll be okay.
But he does lead all rookies in assists. So I will give you that, right? He can play make. I will give you that. He can't shoot. 2 for 21 from three. He's 2 for 21. It's bad. It's all bad. Sometimes he does look lost on offense. I've seen some of his games. He does look a little lost on offense. Like he's not necessarily confident in his shot. So he'll come off a pick when a typical point guard, either you're gonna drive or you're gonna shoot. He looks like, I don't know what I want to do. But then the next play, he'll come down on a fast break and pull up from three. Make up your mind.
It's I said, man, it's a learning curve, and some players get it. Some players are behind.
Right. And what I don't get is how ESPN, when they come out with their preseason rankings, how you can have Scoot ranked above Russell Westbrook.
So the thing with those rankings, man, this is what a lot of people don't really get, and this is from what I read. It's their predictions on where those players will be ranked at the end of the season, not so much going into the season. That's why they have those rookies there, because you can't rank a rookie who hasn't played, right? You can't say he's the 30th best player in the NBA. He hasn't even played a lick of like real NBA basketball. So
fair.
So Scoot still has time to be better than role-playing Russell Westbrook. We're in 2023 and we're still talking about he's not better than Russ. It's 2023, man. Let it go. Let it go.
He's not, though. He's not.
Yeah, right now he's not. Absolutely. He's not better than role-playing Russell Westbrook. Correct.
Oh, guys, the Russ hate is real right now.
It's not a Russ hate. I had this conversation because these dudes were like Franz and Paolo, like top 50. How? Russ is not top 50. It's 2023. Don't post those Obama era highlights. Don't get out of here. I don't want to hear that. Get it. Go on and get it.
Highlights. Wow.
No, it's true. Man's a role player now, and that's okay. He fits his role very well. I like Russ. I don't like his fans.
I can say the same thing about LeBron and his fans. I like LeBron. His fans are toxic as hell, though. So anyway, and then we got Chet, another unicorn. rookie. Hey, rookie, right? He's getting the Blake Griffin treatment, but still, he's putting up solid numbers: 15, 7, and 2, 2 blocks per game, and a steal per game. Here's another fun fact about Chet: he's the only rookie in top 5 of every category. So that's really impressive, man. That's kind of stuff. If Wemby wasn't in this class, he could be up for Rookie of the Year.
Listen, I go back to my point of I feel bad for some of these guys, Chet included, because if Wemby did not exist, right, we'd be like, damn, Chet he might be the future of the NBA. But because Wemby does exist,
those two together are the future of the NBA.
Oh yeah, but
they both stay healthy.
That's help is a big part of it.
But yeah, I know, right?
It's just hard for us to be like, hey man, like, which one of these two guys you gonna pick? I think the answer 10 times out of 10 is probably gonna be Wemby.
Maybe I'm gonna take Wemby for sure. That's
so, which is not an indictment on Chet. It's not Chet's fault that he exists at the same time as this guy. Like it's not his problem.
Hey man, just next time don't get run over by LeBron in a game. So you don't have to worry about this no more.
He would have lost anyway. P5 looked so good last year as a rookie. I don't think people really realize that. Yeah.
My guy.
So we'll see.
That was my guy. But hey, man, that's going to wrap it up for this episode, man. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, don't forget to give us 5 stars. All right, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.